Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so we're gonna go over Sick Beast of a Player, and this is gonna be a very short guide because it's actually one of the quickest and simplest challenges in Carina Volume 2. And basically you need Dr. Octopus. Now you can do it with a 5-star rank 4 and 6-star rank 1. Ideally you do, however, want your champion to be duped. However, it is possible with unduped Doc Ock as well, but it will be trickier. However, I will go over my run. I used personally 6-star rank 2 for pretty much everything. I did end up using 1 revive on the Havoc boss because I did mess up a little bit. But I'm going to try and briefly explain what is going to be your strategy, what's best to do, which path to take, and all that other good stuff. Right, so first things first, we do need to note this thing. This thing, the bricked tech boost. Now 6.3 was fairly annoying, to be honest, with these extra special boosts that you could only use in 6.3, and they were kind of designed for specific lanes, but they could be helpful in other lanes too. Now this boost will let you get a bunch of armor ups and also help you increase your damage output with Dr. Octopus and make him way more sustainable. Now if we jump in game right now, you can purchase it with 50 units. However, you can find it in this quest over here as well. This is the quest with Iron Man Infinity War as the boss, so that is 6.34. If you do not want to spend 50 units and have some extra time on your hands, just go do 6.34 and you can grab that boost anytime you please to do so. However, many of you probably will have it unused. Like I have even like 1 still right now left over. It lasts for an hour and it's more than enough to do the challenge. So that boost, first and foremost, is quite important. It's also good to boost up for the rest of it. Right, now we can jump back up there. And just to explain the strategy. Now, if you have not used Doc Ock, then he basically works on 3 research categories. One of them basically is heal block, one of them is kind of power steal lock, and another one is armor up buff. You do want to primarily utilize the armor buff, and you do want to primarily utilize the power lock, because then you can spam heavies in corner and do sizable amount of damage. Every time you use a heavy attack while one of those 3 effects is active, you do a burst damage to your opponent. And the key to getting that power lock is kind of just hitting opponent's block a bit, because if you do parry consistently, then you also trigger other categories and you might end up getting armor up, or you might end up putting heal block on opponent, and that's not really what you want to do. You want to be doing damage to your opponent without taking damage, basically. So it means just hit their block and you're gonna have a better chance of proccing that power steal thing. Right, now let's jump in the actual quest, and I'm gonna explain which path I took. There are 2 paths that I think are reasonably doable. Some people did this resistor path because Doc Ock is not too impeded by it, because you do kind of like that direct burst damage on your heavy attacks. However, I'm not the biggest fan of that, because you do need to deal with like several fights with class disadvantage, or pretty much all of the lanes with class disadvantage. And then there is a nasty annihilist towards the end. I personally recommend dealing with this unblockable finale path. It is shorter as well, and in my opinion, it's easier. So the champions will have their own individual nodes, but for most part, it's just the stupefy and unblockable finale, which means that you need to watch when they are going to be getting to 25%, and then be ready to kind of push them to whichever special attack is dexable realistically. Like in Joe Fixit case, you do want to be able to push him to level 2 when he gets at 25%, then drop your own level 2. And stuff like that. You just need to be wary of that unblockable finale. But other than that, Joe Fixit now is harder fight, obviously. But then you have to deal with Kang and Ronin and Carl and starting against Spider-Man, Human Torch, and Goldbull. Those are by far the easiest opponents to go up against, and I definitely recommend taking this path overall. The strategy for all of them is more or less the same. So I think I'm just going to be showcasing. I did play quite messy, but I'm going to be going on to showcase a fight against... who are we going to be fighting against? I think that's going to be the Joe Fixit fight. Right, so I'm going to disable the sound here, just to kind of showcase how I played. I definitely am not the best Doc Ock player, and you can see plenty of mistakes there made as well. But just a brief example of how to use Dr. Octopus. Basically, you want to get one of those debuffs active. You see, I took a parried hit. That's why it was heal block, not a power control buff, which would have been more convenient. I should have been hitting their blocks more often, and that would put on the power lock. So that's kind of like my mistake. But the key thing is still to detonate off those debuffs with your heavy attacks, because that then allows you to do the burst damage, and it makes your research categories do not fall off to 0, basically. That's kind of the trick, not to let those 5-second buffs or debuffs expire. So we always want to do shorter combos and just make it in time so we can spam these heavy attacks. That is more or less the strategy. Now, I'm sure that I will mess up somewhere along the way towards the end, but you know, at the very least, I did not need the revives for the path. I do also have active tech boosts that are quite helpful. You know, even if you don't crit, you still get a little bit of power back. And, you know, being able to throw a nice level 2 or 3 is helpful. So here I'm going to mess up. So I ate that level 1, and now I let my debuff fall off as well. And he's about to go in his 25% phase, which I should not have done the heavy attack. I should have done a full combo into level 2. Because now I want to push him to a level 2, which I'm struggling to do because of my own power lock control debuff. So you can see that was a clearly mistaken planning. Now I finally have pushed him to level 2, so I don't need to eat another level 1 and drop a level 1 myself, hoping that that is going to KO him. It did not, but it's all good. He's only at 3%, and I managed to push him to another level 2. We're all good here. We're about to finish off the fight. Now, another obvious fight that we do need to take a look at is the Havoc boss himself. And the thing against Havoc, so this was the mistake that I made, but here I think we're gonna go in the second attempt. I should have soloed this fight. I'm gonna drop it before the end. So I did use my 5-star rank 4 to kind of warm up here. And then the key is, again, to power drain him with your power lock buff, because that's one of the Doc Ock's abilities, and that obviously not only keeps his power in check, it also prevents him from building his charges, because it is classed as a power drain for Havoc's abilities. And then on top of that, we can see that brick boost working. I have 9 armor up, so I'm significantly tankier than I used to be. And then just go and re-parry and, yeah, drop your heavy attacks. Now, there I made a mistake. I thought I got in the re-parry, I didn't, and that was like the key problem here. So still, I'm hanging in on that fight, but this fight, like many other Havoc fights, kind of like largely hinges on your ability to re-parry or punish his heavy attacks. Ideally, don't let him use that level 1, because that makes the fights trickier. And if everything's working fine, you are able to heal up from Havoc's, obviously, plasma detonations, even though I have not really let him build those up on me. I really should have done that at some point. Now, again, if he's passive, unfortunately, my power lock debuff expired there, so I need to start building my research categories. But that's fine. We're going to get it back up. I think I am going to mess it up towards the very end, but, you know, it's a fairly decent run for somebody who really does not play Dr. Octopus frequently. You can see that whenever you heavy, you do power drain him, you do that burst of the energy damage, and this is kind of like ideal spot where you want to be until he reaches a bar of power. So here we can see that we have done plenty of damage. Now there I did not reach with my heavy attack and kind of went into a level 3. But that's about it. That's what you want to do. That is my guide and my advice. I do think you can do this challenge with Suicide Masteries active if you want to. It's probably easier and cheaper if you don't put them on, because obviously Doc Ock is not necessarily the most Liquid Courage double-edged friendly champion. However, you would be doing significantly more damage, and you don't exactly spam many special attacks either, so you can probably get away with running Liquid Courage and double-edge. That's about it. That's all I wanted to show you. That's all I have to say for you guys. I hope this video was helpful. Do not forget to boost up. Do not forget tech class boosts if you can. And definitely that bricked boost is really, really helpful. That's it. See you next time, guys. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about